Hey everybody, did you know you can go to colinmullen.com in order to get art and art prints? It's why I say it. And it's Halloween, and there's a whole bunch of like cool skulls and rad stuff like that you could put on your wall and be like, man, happy Halloween, everyone. It'd be cool. Do it. colinmullen.com. So, hey everybody, I'm going on vacation here soon, and as a result, rather than not having content during that time, I'm pre-recording some stuff in advance. And in order to have, ideas and things to talk about, I decided I'd just ask the people on patreon.com/RevScarecrow. So if you have a question that you want to ask me, throw it up on there, preferably art questions, right? Because it's an art channel. I know some of you guys would be okay with me not having content on this channel during the time that I'm on vacation and such, but I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those people who would be okay with that. People support me on Patreon, and therefore you deserve the content you pay for. As an aside, if you're doing the critique tier, make sure you send me your stuff, else you're not getting what you're paying for. But anyway, the first question comes from Vio, and the question is art made for fan art and or parody different than art that doesn't have something incredibly concrete it is based off of? Should it be treated differently because it isn't original or in spite of it? So first off, I want to just say thank you to Vio specifically for this question, because it's a really good question. If you guys have questions as well, dollar or more, throw a question into that thread and I'll try and do my best to answer them. I think I'm going to be doing that as much as possible moving forward. If you ever have questions and you are a Patreon on patreon.com, ask them. It makes for cool discussions, and I want this to be a discussion. I want us to, not just me sitting at the pulpit telling you things. Because I like being told I'm wrong. That's how I get to be better at things. So anyway, this specific question is one that I've been thinking about for a while. Well, since, they asked it a couple of days ago. And I've got to be honest, I don't have a good answer. And rather than just saying, I don't know, shrugging and ending the video, I'm going to tell you why I don't know. And then maybe you guys can give me like your analysis or your opinions in the comments. I feel like nowadays people want to have snap judgments. They want to be able to be right the first second a question is asked and never change that opinion ever. And that is a sign of skill and grace, and that is something that's lauded and applauded by the world. And I think it's kind of dumb, but that's a different thing entirely. I'm going to say I don't know. But rather than just ending the video there and having the fastest speed paint ever, I'm going to give you my why I don't know. So, I feel like inherently this question can only exist in a world where, generally speaking, most people believe no. That fan art is not the same thing as, like, the art you see in a gallery. That's the only way that such a question can even be formed. It would seem ridiculous if everyone agreed that fan art and parody was definitely fine art to ask this question. It would be weird for them to ask it, right? So I think at a basic level, we can say, generally speaking, most people believe no, that fan art and parody art is not the same thing. But then you ask like a person who works at a gallery or someone who, works in the art scene, what their opinion of it is. And I think you can see throughout history a lot of art, especially is, parodies. You've got Andy Warhol making his career off of, parodying or at least critiquing art through stuff like, magazine clippings and Marilyn Monroe and that kind of thing. You got artists like Jason Freeney, I think is his name, who only is able to really exist because of known creatures or known characters. I don't know how many times I've seen people use Mickey Mouse or Barbie as like examples or things to critique about our culture. And I think it's because we are so much more connected to that than we are, old Greek gods and such. Like, those have a certain weight to them. They have a certain, like, honor to them that we all, like, can respect. If you do art of a Greek god, then everyone's like, oh, that's important. That's an art. But then you do an art of Mickey Mouse, and it's just like, Mickey Mouse, I guess, is a little bit different. Maybe Mario is a better example. You know, you do some art of Mario, and it's just like, that's cool. And then you move on. So why is that? Like, why is fan art different? And there's a whole legal thing that's going on with, like, fan art and parody and stuff. And this is not, like, I do not give legal advice when it comes to this kind of stuff. You need to look into that yourself and maybe hire a lawyer if you're going to be doing that kind of art, because you definitely are treading a very, very careful line, even if you don't know it. But I think the answer to this is largely based on whether or not the sentence is, you know, art of, like, the Pieta or Christ on the cross, or you know, I don't know, Atlas holding the world. Are sculptures and paintings and drawings of that kind of stuff, is that fan art? Like, if that sounds insane, or if that sounds weird, then there's something going on there. We need to, like, think about it from that angle, I think, and I think we could probably get an answer. Parody is definitely art in the fine art world, because it's a way for us to directly critique things that we know and are aware of and respect on a daily basis. But fan art is something else. Like, when you say not to critique something but to appreciate it, it's fan art of Mario and Sonic equivalent to Christ on the cross. And if that sounds weird, then there's definitely some, like, dissonance there. I feel like the reason that we can have, like, entire, like, movements of art based on, you know, the Bible or Greek gods or Roman gods is because they have a different place in our society and they have a different level of respect from us. Mario is a character from Nintendo, a company that has existed for a while, granted, but you know, he's just a guy. He's a character made to sell things, and therefore it's worth less than Jesus. And I think that's my stumbling block. What makes, aside from, like, all the brevity, all of the love and adoration for Jesus as, like, one of the most important figures in, you know, history, regardless if you're Christian or not, like, everyone respects that kind of art to some degree. Like, you can reference, like, someone on the cross, and then, you know, that's your cross to bear or whatever, and that becomes a thing. Like, people know what you mean because it's such a part of the language, at least in the South in America, where I'm from, that it's just a thing, you know? I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, there have not been holy wars and genocide done in the name of Princess Peach, as far as I'm aware. And I feel like maybe it's that it has had that religion, you know, be it Greek gods or Jesus or whoever, have had such a cultural impact on the world as a whole that makes them higher than a marketing thing, a thing literally made to sell product, you know? And there's a lot of critique when it comes to parody on, you know, how these false idols or these idols have existed to sell us things, that they become a new religion for us. A lot of artists have made that comparison, have made that joke. So is fan art something that is not for the critique of the thing, but just to say I appreciate, you know, Toad from Mario? Who am I kidding? No one actually appreciates Toad. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I think fan art is going to continue to be seen as a different thing. But I have a hard time putting into words why. Parody, 100% yes. That is one of the easiest and most direct routes in order to have someone who is a layperson, who is not, they don't understand that, a hand that does not have a glove on it, but is holding a glove, and symbolizes such and such and such and such. And there's a whole, you got to go through art history to understand that. The fact that you could use a character from pop culture and use it in a way that allows people to understand, who just are people walking in off the street, to understand what you're talking about, that becomes powerful in that it is accessible. And you don't have to be learned in every single little thing about art history. So I guess to answer your question about the fan art part, I do not know. About parody, yes. But I'm interested to hear what you guys think down in the comments and why you think so. I went off on a bit of a tangent, but I feel like that's just kind of where my mind went when I was asked this question. So hopefully there was some value here for that. But let me go ahead and thank the people on patreon.com who are making this whole thing happen and who are continuing to make me becoming an artist a reality. So thank you to the following people. Thank you, Wapfu. Thank you, Theodore Corbier. Thank you, Spiral. Thank you, Spencer Kane. Thank you, Punkster. Thank you, Phoenixia Theorat. Thank you, Oboist Kirby. Thank you, Mortibus. Thank you, Micah. Thank you, Maliciousness. Thank you, Lost Nevada. Thank you, Kayla Hollinger. Thank you, Jeremy Kinney. Thank you, Gaizuzan. Thank you, Duxu. Thank you, Daniel Rotwind. Thank you, Cappy Rose. Thank you, Bubba Fair. Thank you, Bep. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Adam Kearney. And thank you, Ants! As I'm signing this and signing off, just want to say thank you again to the people on Patreon, and thank you to VO specifically for this really good question. If you have answers to that question, go and throw them in the comments. If you have questions of your own, you can go to patreon.com/RevScarecrow to ask them, or you can ask them down in the comments. I'm obviously going to prioritize the ones on Patreon first for obvious reasons. But yeah, this was an interesting one, and it brought me down an interesting line of thought. And hopefully you guys understand now why I don't have a good answer to it. But I gave you something, I guess. So I'll see you for the next one. Goodbye.